a job. I hated having a job because I wasn't making that much money. I hated having a boss tell me what to do. I was in customer service and I hated when people came into the store and I had to act like I cared. That was probably one of my biggest pet peeves. It's like their problems and their story. They're not good at communicating. They wouldn't get right to the point. They tell me this long, drawn out story about their issue and I had to act like I cared, and I absolutely hated it. So I was basically looking for a way out of it. And a buddy of mine that I knew from a while ago from this other opportunity, long story short, introduced me to the guy, David Kosciuszko, that had the program at the time, back when all this was kind of new. And I joined that program. It was, I believe it was a few days after I found out about it. Maybe it was a week, but it was very quickly. I bought it very fast because it was very clear. I wasn't happy with where I was at. I knew if I kept doing what I've always done, I keep getting what I've always gotten. And even though I didn't want to spend money on the program, the guy had other students that were successful because he posted, there's videos about them that were making money. So this guy knows what he's doing. He also knows how to teach it, because someone can know what they're doing, but then also not know how to communicate it effectively. So I kind of have a couple criteria now because I buy stuff all the time. So I bought the guy's program. And the whole business model seemed pretty simple. It wasn't something where you're going to make a gazillion dollars doing nothing, but it seemed like you put up ads. People are going to message you. You'll see what the item sells for. You offer them less, then you'll sell the item and you'll make the difference. And within 24 hours, I actually picked up 2 phones from one lady, paid $80 each. I sold them on eBay for about $200 each. I made like $160 profit in the first 24 hours. The first week, I made over $500 in profit. And then it just kept going up. It took me about 3 months to get to around $1,200, $1,500 a week in profit. And then a few months after that, I quit my job, which was great. It was so much freedom. Quitting my job was one of the hardest things I ever did because I was attached to security so much. There was so much freedom because now instead of working 40 hours a week, getting off at 8 and 9, and then doing the electronics on all my free time, now it was like I was doing the electronics 30 hours a week and I had like 40 hours open up. Started going out with friends more, spending more time with family, going to the gym, started eating healthier. It was great. Yeah, a lot of people I think don't experience that because I guess they might just work jobs and they've done that for so long. They think that's how it is, which of course it's not. So that's how I got into it. And eventually I got I got very good at negotiating through messaging. So eventually David, the guy's program, he brought me on. I taught him this program. I started my own program. I don't do any of those now. David's program's obviously closed. But now I work with Chris, and that's kind of the whole story summed up in roughly 5 minutes.
Love it. Heck yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to bring Aaron on today, guys, just simply because I wanted to kind of introduce you guys to a little bit more negotiation. I know how to negotiate in my own way, right? So I wanted to bring Aaron on, though, just because he's really is a master at it. So, and one way that you become a master at things is through repetition. And Aaron has had enough repetition. Aaron, how many combos have you been in, dude?
Roughly 20, 25,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of conversations, a lot, right? So most people never have that many conversations, especially when it comes to, phone flipping or reselling electronics. So one thing I also want to go over here is, when Aaron actually jumped back in, he joined my program, jumped back in, he started negotiating for more than just phones. Let's talk about that really quick. And that'll kind of segue into one of the main points I want to bring up today. What was that like, man? Like coming back in and then like being introduced to like a plethora of new items to flip.
I think it's been one of the reasons I had the success that I had. So I was flipping electronics. I took 2.5 years off. I basically had to drop shipping, long story short. Got back into it and I moved to a new state. So no repeat business, hadn't done this in 2.5 years. And my 3rd month, starting from ground zero, just with the skills I had from negotiating and then adding in there, Chris is buying all these other items. My 3rd month, I did $8,400 in profit. That's after subtracting all of the ad costs and everything else. So, and I believe one of the reasons for that success was buying other items, because back in the day, we used to just buy phones. Now we're buying phones, iPads. I buy stuff I don't even know what it is half the time. I just know how to appraise it. Once you get good at appraising, which is a skill anybody can learn and nobody's born with, and I don't think anybody really does, so they start doing a business like this.
Yeah.
I've had like days now Now, I did just pick up 2 phones just now. I woke up about an hour ago. I already picked up 2 phones. I'm at about 340 in profit for the day. I already have another pickup scheduled as soon as this call ends.
Would you guys like a day like that? Like, let's stop there really quickly. Like, if you would like a day where you make over $300 in profit after you just wake up, type a yes in the comments. Like, that's huge. Do you have those phones on you? You want to show them the proof? So we know, so you guys know that we're not lying to you, right? Like, it's a real thing. This business is real. It's not a get rich quick. It's not one of those things. It is a real business that takes time to build. But check it out. Yeah, there they are. Boom. There's one. What is that?
12 Pro Max, 256 gigabyte. And this is an XR.
Look at that. So I want to point that out too. Most of you phone flippers aren't even buying iPhone XR anymore. That's wild, right? Like, everybody's looking at iPhone 11 and newer, right? Bro, we are still buying iPhone 8, iPhone X. We are still buying those, right? So, add into that category, right? Other items. So that's awesome. So a couple of people in the comments said yes, fantastic, love it. Good stuff, guys. Cool. So just kind of to kind of gauge the audience a little bit, are you guys brand new, right? You expect, are you brand new to this industry? Have you been doing it for a while? Or are you an expert? Just drop that below. Let us know where you are, so that we can kind of gauge, how to take this conversation. I want to make this a very catered conversation to who you guys are, where you guys are at, and things like that. Okay. So let's actually jump into the 3 main topics. Appreciate you sharing those phones, Aaron. So, Aaron, in your opinion, what are the best devices to buy right now?
There's the bigger picture, and then there's a specific answer. So the biggest picture is all items, because all items can be bought and all items can be bought for profits. I buy new in-box phones, used phones. I bought a phone with no power. I buy damaged phones. But I also buy, iPads. I got an HP Mac, HP laptop. There's something called like a ProBook thing. I don't know what it is, but I bought it. And I bought it for $20. It's on eBay for about $200 with a few watchers. So it'll sell easy, $100 profit. I got a MacBook over there I'm shipping out. Got to ship that out today. So the big picture is you can buy anything. I do believe, though, and you can make good money on anything. I've made good money on all sorts of items. There are, in my experience, some of the odder items can be more profitable because there's simply not other ways for people to get out of sell the items. Like, I remember there was a guy who was a direct buyer in my area back in my original state. He used to only buy like iPhones. So there's some people out there, probably in your city, to be honest, they might only buy iPhones, and some only buy newer iPhones. So it does seem like there are gonna be a lot of competition when there's like an odder item, like like a Zebra scanner, or like those gaming consoles, or the Oculus Pluses that you talk about, which I bought multiple of those, which are fantastic. And then I sold like it was like a tablet that was a
Nintendo Switch.
No, I think I might have bought one of those. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the item does.
And that's a good point here. Like, I want to make that point really quickly. Aaron, and there's many times where I do this too. People hit us up where they're like, hey, I have this thing. But what we do instead of, it was probably a Steam Deck. Alex is probably right. But like, all you have to do is appraise. Go to eBay, type the name of the thing in, figure out how much it's selling for, and then make an offer. It doesn't matter if you don't know what it is, right? Like, we do this all the time. The Zebra scanner, I've bought those. Those are great money, by the way.
Oh, they'd be very good.
Like, if you don't know what those are, they are great money. Things like the Steam Deck, I don't even know what that is. I think Matt talked about it one time. Like, there's money in all kinds of different things, guys. And the great thing about this now is, a lot of my students, a lot of them don't even buy phones. Let's stick there for a second. Like, Bill, So if I go to our wins here in Slack really quick, because we use Slack, Bill just hit 10,000 in sales for the first time ever. And he doesn't even buy phones, guys. Like, that's insane. So let me pull it up here. I mean, here's Aaron with his wins, right? And then we got Bill right here, 10K in sales in 90 days. Bill has not bought a phone ever, just so you guys know, ever. All he buys is like Oculus Quests and stuff, like wild. So, so you don't have to like know how to buy phones to actually profit in this industry. And so what are some other items, Aaron, that you enjoy picking up?
It'd be better for me to pull up the eBay tablet, but it's basically anything. I put up ads saying I basically follow your ad structure, and there is ads running for other items. And then whenever someone hits me up, instead of making an excuse, and I see this with some like beginner intermediate resellers, they'll be like, well, I don't know about gaming consoles, so I don't buy them, or I don't know about high-end cameras. Well, in my experience, in my opinion, that's an unbelievably stupid excuse. Everyone is born, no one's born knowing how to appraise an iPhone. Everyone's born not knowing anything. So these are all things you learn. And sometimes I'd go to eBay and I might say, like the first time I bought a high-end camera, bought it from your teachings, Chris. I went to eBay, and I didn't go to eBay. I went to YouTube and I'd watch a couple of videos, what to look for when buying one of these cameras. And they kind of tell you, right? There's a million YouTubes out there. And when I was driving to meet up with a guy, I watched or heard one of these videos, and he's like, all right, you want to check this? Here are the few of the main things. And that's what I did when the first meetup. It wasn't the smoothest meetup. It took a few minutes longer. Bought the item, I made profit, and I learned.
That's all it takes. I mean, it's that simple, right? You just got to be willing to do the work. So right now, let's type in the chat, guys. Like, what are you guys most comfortable buying right now? Like, is it phones? Is it game consoles? What is it? Right? That's what we want to know. I hope to kind of give this to, all of you guys, like the knowledge that it's not only phones. If it was only phones, you'd be very limited. And that's honestly something I found. So let me kind of explain this really quickly before we dive into the common phrases. I look at the business as like having pillars in it, right? So, and I made a YouTube video about this too. So if you only buy phones, right, you have one pillar holding your business up. One, right? You have that one thing. Aaron, have you gone weeks without buying phones?
So last week, I believe it was, I'd gone about 4 or 5 days roughly, and I picked up either no phones or one phone, but I picked up around a dozen other items, and that allowed me to continue making. For me, guys, I don't want to work that much. I get kind of lazy. I'm happy working like 25, 30 hours a week, but I want to make 8 to 10 grand a month in profit. If not a little bit more. It's kind of like my comfortable zone. So what that allowed me to do was, even though I only picked up, I think it was one phone in about 5 days, I picked up about a dozen other items, all electronics. So that allowed me to continue kind of hitting that target and that projection. Because, it's $80 here, $150 here. And it was great. It was just all sorts of other electronics. And like we were going back before, Chris, I think that's one of the reasons I did that helped me do over $8,400 in profit the third month that I got started again, because I wasn't just focused on phones. It wasn't just that one pillar. There was all these other ones that were supporting the business, feeding it profit.
Yeah. So you don't want just that one pillar. You want phones, MacBooks, iPads, smartwatches, cameras, whatever else, right? Outliers. Some of the outlier items are the best profit items you could do, right? Like, I mean, you bought a Starlink the other day. You made like, what was it, 160 in profit off of that?
Yeah.
Wild. You didn't even know what it was. So, hey, that's awesome. Like, the fact that you don't know what it is and you still make a fantastic profit on it is huge, right? So with that being said, in the chat, guys, I want you guys to type in, what is the most common rebuttal you guys get when you're trying to make an offer on a phone? Is it, I'll just go get it repaired, or your offer is too low? I want you guys to type that in the chat, and then Aaron and I will actually go over the most common phrases that we use. We'll kind of gloss over them and give you guys, 10,000 foot overview of what we typically say to these people to, get them to come down in price, right? So with that being said, I want to go over a little bit of negotiation and specifically your strategy, Aaron. Like you almost all the time just kind of ignore what the customer says, which is something I do too. Like, okay, here's one. I was offered more. What would you say to that, Aaron?
So when a customer says, so we're talking about, Chris, that we made an offer on the item and the customer said that they were offered more. Is that right?
Yep.
So I could do a couple things. The first thing I could do is I could argue with the customer and fight with the customer. Say, oh, you offered more. So someone offered more. So why are you talking to me, you knucklehead? And I could boost my ego, and then I would check my wallet and it would still be light. Because do you want to, I don't want to boost my ego. I just want to make some money, work a couple hours a day, and then I just want to do other stuff. So that's what's important to me. So what I do is if the customer says that I was offered more, I ignore that question. And the reason, and I ignore that statement, not that question, because if the customer's talking to you, maybe they were offered more. Maybe they weren't. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're lying, but they're still talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're still talking to me and they're still engaging with me, then what I want to do is I just want to continue through the negotiating process or through the, I got a copy and paste script, but it's through the copy and paste script. So what I always say in that situation is I tell them they have a great electronic and I ask them how much they were looking to get. So customer says, I make the offer. Customer says, oh, well, I was offered more. I said, well, it's a great item. And depending on how the customer says they're offered more depends on the script that I use. But it's basically, you have a great item. And to be honest, I need a couple more of those items to hit my weekly target. What were you trying to get for it? And then they'll say a dollar amount of what they want. And then I can start the negotiating process at that point, because then I've gotten a dollar amount from the customer of what they want.
Yeah, I love it. So another one, well, here's what I usually say. I'll usually stay with whenever they're like, I was offered more, I'll be like, all right, cool, totally understand. How much were you looking to get? Because now I know this because I'm a marketer, right? If that person is coming from a Facebook ad, the likelihood that they are lying is very high. Why? Because I interrupted their feed and that's where they found me. They were not looking for me. Okay. That's how I internally just know that they're lying most of the time, unless they show me a genuine offer, right? Whatever. And then I actually poke fun with this sometimes too, is like, if they, if they're like, well, I just got a higher offer. Okay, cool. Great. Do you mind sending me the phone number of the place that you got the higher offer from? I need a local buyer. And that just kind of flips it all on its head with them. And then usually they're like caught in a lie, because they don't have anything to send, but sometimes they're not lying. And then I get a great local buyer. So it works out. That's just kind of the way I like to do it.
Nice.
Alex says, I'm in Irving. I'm not driving to Fort Worth for $60. So a person's not willing to drive for a certain amount of money.
Do one or two things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can do what Chris talks about and offer them more money. Or is there any way, I would just make him an excuse. I'd love to meet you. Happy to buy your item. It's just I'm a little tied up for the rest of the day. Is there any way you could come here if I gave you $5 for gas? Is there any way if I threw $5, if I gave you an extra $5 for gas, is there any way you'd head this way? And sometimes I will, and I'll let you talk about how you do it. And then sometimes I'll drive to the person. Like I'm planning these first two phones. The guy came, it was the perfect meetup. The guy came like half a mile from my place. I bought these two items. I woke up, saw the message, made the offer, and did the meetup within about 25 minutes of waking up. The next phone I'm picking up, I'm going to drive. The guy doesn't have a car. Maybe he can get a car. Maybe he can't. Maybe it's an excuse. Maybe it's not. But the second thing to do is you could drive to the person if that's something that you're willing to do as well.
Yep. So what I usually do is usually I don't tell them I'll pay them $5 for gas. What I just say is I'll buy you a gallon of gas if you drive to me. In my brain, anyway, that sounds a whole lot better than I'll pay you $5. That's just what I've found. And usually people are totally cool with that. And I also do this on reach outs too, by the way. Like if I see that an item is actually priced lower than what I can profit from, right? Like for example, I bought an Oculus Quest this way. I saw the guy listed it for $100, and I don't drive to anybody, just so you guys know. Everybody comes to me. All right. So I was like, hey, I'll pay you $5 for gas if you can deliver it to this Starbucks. Is that cool? And he was like, yeah, because I'm giving him more money. Right. And I was profiting anyway, so it didn't matter. Right. I was going to make like $150 anyway, so I didn't really care about $5. Right. But I use that line all the time. Hey, I'll buy you a gallon of gas if you can deliver it. Most of the time, people are willing to do that, guys, just so you guys know. It's a really good strategy. But that's just personally what I use. So, all right, cool. So, all right, we didn't get any more rebuttals in here. So let's talk about profiting more when you get better at negotiating. So I know this is something you talk about quite often, Aaron. So how much more money can you typically make? And there's no number to this, but like when you get better at negotiating, and I think a little bit of this comes from information you have as well, like, you know, knowing things about IMEIs and how to look things up and things like that. But like, as you get better at negotiating, how would you say you profit the best from getting better at negotiating?
You profit the best because the price that we offer the customer originally does affect it is an important part, and if they're going to accept the offer or not, and at what percentage of the time are they going to get pissed off that they feel that you're making a lowball offer. Now, just to be clear, I make a living making lowball offers. I buy items below the market value. Basically, the item is going to sell for around here. I have to buy it lower. So I get paid to lowball people. In the beginning, what I would do is I wasn't good at negotiating, so I didn't want people to say no to my offer. So I'd always offer kind of the max amount right off the beginning. And the benefit to that is a higher percentage of people would say yes. The downside is it wouldn't make that much profit. As I got better at negotiating, and you will experience this as well, as long as you're following a formula for getting better at negotiating, what happens is as you get more comfortable in negotiating, you're able to keep people in the conversation with you, responding to your messages as you continue to work them down on price till they eventually agree to sell you their item at a price you want to pay for it, not the price they originally wanted for it. But that skill set in and of itself is negotiating, being able to keep customers in the conversation, keeping them responding to your messages, and then knowing the words to say to consistently work them down in price. That's a skill set. So what happens is, as anyone, I've seen this with a gazillion people I've taught this to, as they get better at negotiating, they're more comfortable and able to make more lower ball offers. And then if and when the customer does say no, they're able to keep that customer engaged with them and using the right words, get them down in price to the point where they're able to, on average, make more profit per pickup. This is what happened to me. When I got started, I was averaging $50 profit per item. Then a few months later, I got a little bit more comfortable. I didn't have a script. I had to kind of create it over maybe a year, and then I fine tweaked it, many times. But what happened was $50 an item. Then on average, it was 60 and then 70. And then I remember when I started making $100 an item. That was probably 3 to 6 months into it. I was like, this is great. I'm making $100 an item. I was like, I'd have to work basically a full day at my job to make this. And I just made it like right now. This is fantastic. And then in my old city where I was at, about a year and a half into it, I was averaging around $150 profit. And of course, the benefit of that is you can do a lot less work, a lot less, you can respond to a lot less leads, do a lot less pickups, and make a lot more money if instead of averaging $50 to $80 profit, you're averaging, let's say, $100 to $150 in profit.
Heck yeah, I love it. So, as you get better at negotiating, obviously the more money you're going to make just simply by you get, number one, I think it's really just a comfort thing. Like you get more comfortable lowballing people. And what I've noticed is people can sense whether, or in my experience anyway, the way that I make an offer, I don't attach any emotion to the offer, right? If I attach emotion to the offer somehow, some way, like it's like the customer can feel that, right? When you don't attach any emotion to it, and this also comes to the words you say too. Like for me, I say, awesome, or I don't even say awesome. We can buy that for blank. That's it. most of the time. Like we've been buying this device for this much recently. That's it. That's all I say. Okay. And then from then on, it's more or less just keeping them in the conversation. If you can keep them in the conversation longer, the more likely you are to buy. And that's why I do my bullet negotiation script. It's like, we have the different things that you can ask to keep them in the convo, right? What company is it with? How many gigabytes is it at? What's the battery health percentage? Like, that's just things to keep them in the convo, right? If you can keep them in the conversation, the more likely you are to close them. So that's just what I've found over time too. So I love it. Cool. Did you guys learn anything from this? Type it yes or no below. Let me know, right? I see Cameron saying true. Fantastic. Cool. You guys are awesome. Thanks for chilling out with us. Hope you guys enjoyed something here and learned something. So just so you guys know, Recelerator is open. We are opening up spots next week. I had 3 onboarding calls today for people. So, things are definitely picking up, right? Especially with the program. So if you guys are looking to start, grow, and or scale your electronics reselling business, we help people in all aspects of it. If you're a beginner, great. We just had a beginner go from $0 to $30,000 in sales within 2 months. Wild, right? It's insane. When we have multiple people doing that too. Okay. Now, I do want to point out here, you have to do the work. This is not get rich quick. This is not passive income. This is not those things. This is work. Okay. Like, Aaron, is this work?
It is work. It takes effort. It's like with anything, it gets easier over time, but you definitely have to be prepared to grind. Like if your program, of course, and one of the reasons I decided to attach my name to it is because it's the best program out there that I could tell, and it's super advanced, and it's got everything you need step by step and an easy to follow blueprint. And one of the other things is because you're very clear about it in the beginning. You're very clear that you can make great money. Look at all the people that have gone through the program. Here's a gazillion videos of all the people from all walks of life, even in different countries, that have made money. But it requires work. It requires effort. It requires you to go through the training and then apply what you learn. And of course, give it time to, build your skill set as you're going through the training and you're leveling up.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in joining Recelerator, you can just type, Recelerator below, or you can type just yes. A guy named Jared will reach out to you. And I do want to point this out too. So we do not accept everybody into Recelerator. We only take the people that we actually think can do the work, because this does require work. One big thing that I tell people, especially when they come in, I don't care how hard you try. Okay. Trying doesn't mean jack squat. Okay. You have to do what is required to get the results that you want. If you're not willing to do that, this isn't the program for you. Just going to point that out. Okay. What is required? 10 reach outs a day, run your ads, get leads, respond to people, respond to people. Like, holy moly. If you don't respond to people, you won't make any money. Just so you guys know. I don't know. It's weird. Some people just don't respond to people. If you are not interested in that level of accountability and that level of, help, because we do 3 group chats a week here too. So we got a game console class, we got an ads class, and then we got a negotiation class with Aaron here. So if that's something you're looking for accountability, you're looking for, to start an actual business, which is what the Recelerator program is about, type apply below, right? Now, if you're not looking for that and you're looking for a side hustle, I recommend my 7-a-month program, the starter kit. Okay. I'll drop that in the links below. That is for somebody who, you're not ready. You're not ready to go full on into this thing. And you just want to dip your toes and see if this is something that works for you. Right. So that program is meant to get you to your first 2,500 in profit. Okay. Within about 2 months. That's what it's designed to do. So if that is something you're looking to do, you're looking to make your first 2,500 and then maybe upgrade to Recelerator, go that way. We've had many people do that. Many successful people do that. Jared, he's actually my sales guy now. He went that way. That's what he did. He made $1,100 his first 2 weeks in the starter kit. And then he was like, I want more. And then he joined Recelerator about a month later. So, and then he went on to make, $12,000 in 1 month in February. So not bad, right? And he's only been flipping for like 11 months. So pretty cool. So if that's something you're looking to do, I dropped some links below. If you're looking to join Recelerator, then hit, type apply and Jared will reach out to you. Aaron, anything, else you want to say there, man?
This business works and it will work for anyone, even if you don't believe it, if you do the right actions. There's many times when I was negotiating in the beginning where customer would tell me what they'd have, make an offer on the item, and the customer would instantly accept it. And it'd be like $100 profit. And I'd be driving to the meetup and I'd be super nervous. In the beginning, I used to shake in my car. I'd be so nervous. Like the customer's going to flake. They're going to try to rob me. They're not going to show up on time. There's going to be some issue with the item. It's going to be iCloud locked. I get to the meetup. The person was on time. The item was in the exact condition they said it was. We met inside a super public place. I bought the meetup. It was the smoothest meetup ever. And I made, the $100 profit. And I've had that happen in the beginning when I'd be nervous. I mean, probably hundreds of times now. So this can definitely work for anyone as long as you're willing to have faith and trust the process.
I love it. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys watching. See you guys next week. I don't know if I'll have a guest or not. I'll let you guys know on Saturday. And, see you guys later.